Today we investigate the clues of survival within death, and someone must record it. To avoid losing a loved one in vain, I share with you the final clues of life that I learned through a case I lived as a detective, which revealed the warnings left by death. A 67-year-old woman, she was the head of the family, running a restaurant her whole life while taking care of her family and supporting their livelihood. She had been repeatedly saying for months that her legs were numb. Then she suddenly passed away, and now we will delve into that incident.
It's 911 over there, at the Jo Yoon restaurant on Guchong Sa Street, where the owner suddenly collapsed in the kitchen, but he isn't breathing. So I tried shaking him and doing everything, but he isn't moving at all.
Please come quickly. The urgent 911 call from the female employee came in. I immediately got in the patrol car with Detective Lee and headed to the scene of the incident. The 119 responders who arrived first were still performing CPR, but when we got there, they only said that the patient was already in cardiac arrest. When I asked the employee, who was standing nearby with a shocked expression,
what had happened, they tearfully said that the boss was handling all the food alone and couldn't even sit down, always complaining about their legs being numb and painful. The family members all know about it, but they said they couldn't go to the hospital because of the business and were just applying pain relief patches. I thought you were just preparing lunch again today, but when I went into the kitchen, I found the owner collapse.
The paramedics eventually withdrew, and I examined the deceased closely. The deceased's lips had already turned purple, and their face was pale. Considering what the waitress said about their legs often feeling numb and that they had applied a pain relief patch, it seemed that a blood clot had blocked an artery, leading to death. When I returned to the police station and took statements from the deceased's husband and son,
my wife often complained to me that her legs were numb and painful, and she asked me to massage her legs. Since my wrist is not in good condition, and I've been busy with fishing, I couldn't do that for you. Instead, I told you to go to the hospital. I thought it was just a common issue when working in a restaurant, but I really didn't know it would be this serious.
My mother said her legs keep going numb and hurt, so I bought her a leg massager. I thought that would be enough. I just assumed it was because she had been working in restaurants for a long time, but I had no idea that leg numbness could lead to a brain hemorrhage. I should have known this would happen and taken my mother to the hospital.
But the statements from the deceased's husband and son were similar. Both of them were unaware and busy, thinking that it was just like that when working in a restaurant. However, the deceased was continuously informing the family about their condition. The ongoing numbness and pain in the legs were clearly the body's final signals. The forensic doctor who performed the autopsy stated that the cause of death was embolic cerebral vascular occlusion. A deep vein thrombosis that originated in the calf traveled through the bloodstream to the cerebral artery, leading to a blockage of the blood vessel and resulting in extensive cerebral infarction, accompanied by hemorrhage, ultimately causing death. In other words, the thrombus in the leg traveled through the blood vessels to the brain and caused the blockage, where the usual leg numbness was accompanied by pain and persistent swelling, which was characteristic of deep vein thrombosis. Using a massager in such a situation could actually be more dangerous, as it increases the possibility of thrombus movement. If the deceased and their family had noticed these early signs and received the necessary treatment at the hospital at the right time, there was a possibility of treatment. From now on, I will inform you of the warning signs that appear in patients with deep vein thrombosis, so please remember them. The first sign is that when a blood clot starts to form in the leg begins to feel numb. Secondly, the legs often swell, and the swelling in the swollen legs does not go down, and it can get worse in the evening. Thirdly, the legs often feel stiff. Fourthly, there is a sensation of heat in the calf area of the legs. Finally, one leg may feel heavy or change color. The 5 symptoms I've just mentioned are typical warning signs of deep vein thrombosis, so please remember them. If these symptoms persist, make sure to go to the hospital and receive the necessary treatment. Like the bereaved families in this case, I was unaware of these warning signs, busy, and thought it was just part of what I do. If you brush it off thinking it's nothing, you may end up having to say goodbye to yourself or your loved ones forever. This time I will share 7 prevention methods for deep vein thrombosis, so please remember them and put them into practice. The first is to move your legs. It's the most effective prevention method. By rotating your ankles every 30 minutes and doing calf muscle, pumping exercises like rising on your toes and lifting and lowering your toes while sitting, you can reduce the risk of deep vein thrombosis by 50–70%, especially for those in sales positions like department store employees, restaurant staff, or nurses in hospitals, who primarily work while standing, or for those who sit all day. This method is considered almost a lifeline. Secondly, it is prohibited to maintain the same posture for long periods. For example, sitting still for more than an hour or crossing your legs for an extended time is not allowed. Also, when
여러분, 세
driving for
번째로
long
충분한 수분
periods, make
섭취를
sure
잊지
to
마세요.
stretch your leg
더운 날씨에
muscles with
특히
appropriate
중요하니까요.
exercises. The third point is to ensure adequate hydration. It is the most underrated essential preventive measure. If the blood does not receive enough moisture, its viscosity increases, leading to a higher risk of blood clots. So, drink water frequently and reduce salty foods. Consuming a lot of caffeine or alcohol is absolutely prohibited when experiencing persistent leg numbness. The fourth point is to use compression stockings, which are very effective for people who stand or sit for long periods. They improve venous blood flow and reduce the risk of blood clots. The fifth point is to avoid massages or physical therapy. The reason is that there is a high risk of blood clots moving. 이건 오해가 매우 많습니다. 다리가 저려서 마사지를 하면 증상을 더 악화시킬 수 있습니다. If the swelling,
checking the blood
numbness,
flow.
or heat in your
Okay,
legs
doctor.
persists for 2
Everything
to 3
looks
days,
normal.
Good to
go
hear.
to the hospital without
I'm just
delay.
checking the blood.
An ultrasound can confirm it in just 10 minutes. So especially for the elderly, do not postpone. Calf muscle pumping exercises are essential. Finally, the 7th point is managing obesity, smoking, and hyperlipidemia. These factors significantly increase the risk of blood clots. So if you are obese, losing weight is important, and if you are a smoker, quitting smoking is the most effective preventive measure. As a detective, I have witnessed numerous sudden deaths and investigated their causes. However, many of them were predictable deaths, with the human body sending countless signals in advance. These deaths were not caused by crime, and if we had been able to catch the clues among the signals sent by the body, we could have prevented them. The price of ignoring the warning that started with your legs feeling numb will lead to tragedy. Don't ignore the structural signals your body sends, whether they are unusual behaviors you or your loved ones exhibit regularly or passing comments. That small concern can save a life. The above was shared in the last clue of the Cheongdam Pole survival file. If you want to investigate the final clues to save lives with me, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. In the next episode, we will investigate new survival clues.